Hello and welcome to REMORANDOM, a celebration of everything interesting and uncommon knowledge. Bit of a different one today. Claudia's not available. She's in Adelaide. Hi, Claudia. So I thought we'd just try something, mix it up a little bit and just have you listen to me kind of drone on for 20 minutes. But I do have stuff to talk about. I have to say, this podcast will be possibly a little bit more visual than usual. So if you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, you might want to, if you're on Spotify, watch the video or head over to YouTube or our Substack platform to see me in living colour, because what I have to show you is Memorandum number 5, which here I am flicking through the pages. It arrived just a couple of days ago from Hong Kong, the advanced copies. Also what arrived was this slipcase sample dummy for next year, for when we actually have 7 books to sell, but this Christmas will be marketing the complete set of 5. So what I thought I would do for today is give you a little bit of behind the scenes. You know, how does a book like this come to being? What are the various stages? Who's involved? Because you're actually involved, and I'd just like to celebrate that as well. Excuse me. So first of all, just backing up a little bit, the backstory of how this series came into being. Remo, when it was a store, was kind of famous for its mail order catalogues. Here's one from 1991. There was a mentor of mine, T-Ball Kalman, who many times said to me, Remo, when are you going to figure out that your sizzle is your steak? And by that he was meaning the storytelling of the catalogue was actually more valuable than the things that it was selling. So, which is another way of saying, you know, Remo is actually a storytelling brand more than it is a thing-selling brand. And that's kind of how the penny dropped for me and how Memorandum came into being. So the first one, which was Red, came out in October 2023. And since then we've published 2 a year in May and October. So number 5 will be mailed to our subscribers in October and offered for sale on the website. Actually offered for sale on the website as early as this week as a pre-sale. The first book was Red, and it was our Hong Kong printing agent of 20 years, Jade, Ken Kong from Jade Productions, who suggested that rather than just change the colour randomly from issue to issue, that we actually follow the colours of the rainbow. So red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo and purple. And so that's what we're doing. And by the time the 7th volume is out, at the end of next year, we will have completed the first Rainbow series of Memorandum and hopefully captured something of the culture and to create a timeless, snapshot of the 20th and 21st century, mostly, curated by me, which is kind of what I've been doing my whole professional life, whether that's curating things to sell through the Remo General Store or creative professionals to gather, which was the raison d'etre for the General Thinking Network, or Ideas to Showcase, which was TEDx Sydney, which I ran for 15 years, and now going full circle back to Remo with storytelling. So Memorandum 5 is blue, and how did that come about? Well, the first step in the process is the idea hunt. And I don't really care where the ideas come from, and I love it when they come from our community of readers and subscribers. My day is a random walk, both literally and metaphysically, and I come across lots of people, live in a dense metropolitan beachside suburb here in Sydney, North Bondi, and in the first hour or two of every day, I will cross paths with 30 to 50 different people and have 30-second to 2-minute conversations with just about all of them. And everyone's got an idea for Remorandum as it happens, whether that comes to me in the sauna or over coffee by the pool. Once I show people a copy of the book, oftentimes the penny drops immediately and something will bubble up straight away, and someone will say, "Oh, you should write about urinal flies," or "You know what you should talk about is X, Y, and Z." So that's why that excites me, because this makes this a more inclusive and involving and engaging exercise. It's not just necessarily stuff that comes out of my head, but it's coming out of our collective heads as a community of people who are connected by virtue of their shared appreciation of curiosity and random serendipity. Random serendipity is probably a tautology, but there you go. So that's the idea hunt. Now, I have a content register that I keep as a Google Doc, and it's where I register the ideas and put names next to those ideas from the people who've suggested them. I've always got 30, 40, 50 ideas sitting there. Not necessarily all of them are strong enough to support a full chapter, but many of them are. So that's the content register, and the schedule for writing Remorandum is fairly punishing. I have another doc, a calendar, which dictates the number of stories I need to be writing monthly on average in order to feed the hungry Remorandum beast. And currently that's between 15 and 20 stories a month. So not too many days go by where I don't have to sit down, choose a topic from the content register, and start my research. Do my writing, source my images, and publish it in the first instance on the REMO Since 1988 website in the Stories blog. So the research often starts with Wikipedia and sometimes starts with ChatGPT. With Wikipedia, there are usually many footnoted references which I will scan, looking for interesting angles to the topic. I'll also use Google to prompt and search out, interesting occurrences of XYZ in the popular culture, or when did ABC appear in an episode of The Simpsons, or anything to contextualize the topic and make it a little bit more, oftentimes, present day relevant. So that's the researching and stage, and then the writing is limited to 500 words. So I have to sometimes be fairly brutal about what the focus of the piece is going to be. I use word counter to keep track of how many words I'm writing, and if the total number of words starts with a 4 or 5 or a 6, I'm usually fairly relaxed about putting that into the blog, all with the appropriate references. Images, I have to be careful only to use images that I'm allowed to use. Some images need to be paid for, so via Shutterstock or iStock Photo. Unsplash is another one that I've been using lately. So each Remorandum spread, as you would know, in all likelihood, has a hero image, and then underneath there's a bunch of little postage stamp size images, some of which work very hard because they contain a QR code, which oftentimes links to the video being referenced or the audio being referenced and so forth. REMORANDOM is a print-centric but multi-platform media model at the moment. So even the Substack, which is relatively new, and I'm really enjoying writing for that actually, is referential to the book series. These printed books are really the heroes of the REMORANDOM story, and they're the things that will be around in 100 years. And that's what I'm hoping, is that every story that gets told ends up inspiring someone to maybe buy a set of the books, keep them on their shelf, pass them on to their children, their grandchildren, as an interesting snapshot of the culture as seen through the REMORANDOM lens. Once I've written a story and posted it on the Remo website, no one really gets to hear about that unless I share it on social media. I will then happily go back to the content register and highlight that cell and keep track of what percentage of the book I have done. I think as of the time of recording this video podcast, I have finalised 21 stories of the ultimately 90 that will appear. So still a lot to go. And many of those ideas aren't even in my register yet, so they'll be flying at me over the next weeks and months. I've been working with a company in Hong Kong, a print broker called Jade Productions, for more than 20 years, probably hundreds of projects over that period of time. Plain notebooks, books, greeting cards, fridge magnets, printed tins, all manner of thing. And I really enjoy working with the crew at Jade. I was initially introduced to them and met the founder and chair, whose name is James Binney, and his partner Ken Kong is my point of contact there now. And not only are they very, very responsive, and their output is of great quality and great value, they are also great communicators, which is very much valued by someone like me. Anyway, so Jade and I have an understanding. We more or less know how long it takes for one of these books to get printed and shipped to Sydney. And so I've got that schedule, and implies a deadline, and I try to keep to those deadlines as much as I can. So that's not the only long-term relationship that's involved in REMORANDOM. Probably an even more critical long-term relationship is the one that I have with my designer, Avi Yuska. I've been working with Ivy for probably 36 years now, on all of the Remo catalogues back in the Darlinghurst days. Ivy lives on the Central Coast now. She's got 2 grown-up boys. She's of Estonian heritage. She and her husband Marty live there. She works a few days a week, but she's also designed with me all of the REMORANDOM books, and we have a nice process that we have developed that satisfies my high need to be involved in every detail, and her need to, keep me off her back when she needs me kept off her back. So the way we do it is that through Dropbox and InDesign. So I have a copy of this InDesign software, and she does too. Each book has 3 or 4 master files that live in a Dropbox folder. 3 of those master files are 30 chapter chunks from the book. They're labeled A, B, and C, and that's where she initially lays out the words and images that she harvests from the Remo blog into the printed spreads. Invariably, the copy runs long. But once she's finished with the section, she gives me the all clear, and I can then open that same file through my Dropbox, and I can see how much copy I have to edit. I can look at the images and see whether or not I need to delete some because they don't all fit, or prioritize one over the other. We also write notes to each other through the file. So she might write a little margin note saying, you have to cut copy here, or this looks like shit, get a better picture. And I will address those concerns and often write my own little messages back. So we have a conversation. That, for me, is a particularly enjoyable part of the process. That is when oftentimes I will think of just that little extra thing to add to the copy or image to source, and it's like taking something which you think is good and in some cases making it just a little bit better. Not for me to say whether that makes it great, but it's the kind of part of the process that I really enjoy. So I've done a first pass edit on all of the pages, and then while Ivy is finalising the content and repaginating where necessary, I am creating hundreds and hundreds of QR codes, which will then be laid out into the book, both as chapter references, which link back to the original Remo blog posts of the same subject, or the videos, which oftentimes link to the YouTube videos that are being referenced in the story. That is time-consuming, laborious, but I enjoy the detail there as well. The regular things like getting an ISBN number, finalising the barcode and the QR code in relation to that, and then we're getting to the point now where the whole thing is PDFable as a single document, and when that happens, I can also then go in and create links in the PDF. We don't sell REMORANDOM as an ebook, but our subscribers do get access to the interactive PDF, and the interactive PDF means that the QR codes are actually hot linked so that you can navigate internally within the PDF and also externally to the various videos. That is also time-consuming and laborious, and I love it as well. Cut to proofreading. So no matter how many times you read something, you'll always miss the stray space or the redundant word or the quotation mark that's pointing in the wrong direction. And to that end, for each issue, there is a small army of volunteer proofreaders to whom I will provide a complete PDF, and we have a register so that not everybody has to read the whole thing, but I know that every section will be read by 2 or 3 sets of eyes with appropriate feedback about not just typos and things that are wrong, but also suggestions sometimes as to how I might reorder some content. Yvonne Frindle is our sub-editor. Yvonne is a real polymath, actually, who does lots of things, including gun for hire, editing, and styling. And together we've written a style guide, which then she holds me to when she does her comb through sub-edit, and the level of detail there is mind-boggling and actually very soothing to know that someone is looking at it so closely. While this is happening, Ivy is converting all of the images to CMYK, which is also very time-consuming for her, given that, there might be 500 to 1,000 images to deal with within each REMORANDOM volume. The deadline is approaching, and the artwork goes to Jade in Hong Kong. And a few days later, digital proofs come back to me. The one thing in the early days, the early volumes, the Chinese factory that Jade would use for this job would sometimes get back to me with suggestions about content that might be changed, inaccuracies as far as China is concerned in terms of referring to Hong Kong as Hong Kong and not Hong Kong SAR, things like that. There was only one occasion when we had a chapter censored by the Chinese factory, and that was innocently enough about the Little Red Book, and it wasn't a very political commentary. It was reasonably banal, but the Little Red Book is certainly part of the culture, and I just wanted to include that anyway. When we heard at the 11th hour that it was not going to be allowed in the book, I had to come up with an idea, and we had to repaginate the whole book. So within about 24 hours, I found out everything I needed to know about April Fool's Day. April Fool's Day went in to replace the chapter about the Little Red Book, and Ivy repaginated, and we were good. So a little bit of controversy corner there, folks. Bit of a hiatus period while we're waiting for the printing, and then the exciting day when the advanced copies arrive. And that, folks, was just 2 days ago. So I'm still on a high about that. And in about a month, the bulk shipment will arrive from China and will fit somehow into our Bondi garage. And then the process of organising the bulk shipment begins. And that involves the Bondi Beach Post Office, where they know me very well. And maybe that's another episode. Anyway, that's the making of Memorandum 5. We're taking pre-orders for Memorandum 5 on the website. If you're interested in subscribing or just ordering that book for a taste, please do so. And next week, Claudia will be back. So until then, au revoir. And I hope this has been, just a little bit interesting. Cheers.